I went to court, and I never came home.
I was very surprised when I was being led out of the room in shackles.
They put my hands behind my back, handcuffed me, and took me right away.
Kids locked up and taken from their parents on their first, even minor offense.
I was only in front of the judge for not even 4 minutes. He barely even looked at me. He was just looking at paperwork on his desk.
Rapid fire justice.
And my son was standing next to me. When I turned around, he was gone. He was already in handcuffs and shackles at the back of the room.
Parent after parent in this one Pennsylvania courtroom, stunned, mystified by what they witnessed.
I was helpless, absolutely helpless. And to this day, I could still cry.
A mystery in Wilkes-Barre, the heart of Pennsylvania's struggling coal country. Why were so many kids in Luzerne County's juvenile court sent directly to jail and in such a rush? They all had one thing in common, the same judge, Mark Chivarella.
I was 12 years old when I got locked up. I had no clue what to say when he asked me how do I plead.
Eric Stefanski's offense? He went joyriding with his mom's car and ran over a barrier, smashing the undercarriage. No one was hurt, not even Eric. But in order to get her insurance to pay for the damage, Mom had to file a police report. The next stop, Judge Chivarella and the courtroom of absurdly swift justice.
Do you remember yourself standing in front of him?
He read me my charges and said, "How do you plead?" I didn't know what to say, so I looked at my mom and I said, "Guilty."
At 12 years old, Eric was locked up for 2 years.
How many questions did they ask you or him about his record?
Oh, none. None about his record, none about nothing to do with his life. None.
And what did your attorney say?
I didn't have one.
I did not think it was necessary. On his first offense, he's so young, I just didn't think that was necessary.
I had pretty good grades, but I was a cheerleader. I was in the orchestra until 9th grade. I did good in school.
Joelle Angeli's brush with the law came at age 15 after she took her grandfather's credit card and ran up a bill of a couple of $1,000s for clothes.
What happened in court?
I remember him saying this and staring right at me. "Have you ever disrespected your grandfather?"
And you were honest?
Yes, I said yes, and my grandfather was standing right next to me. He then said, "You're remanded." And they walked me out. They put me in handcuffs and shackles in a side room, sat me in a holding cell, and walked my grandfather by me as he cried.
Yeah, a little sad face. Here's one.
Jamie Trocchi was 16 when Judge Chivarella sent him away, still a boy who signed letters home with a frowning face. His offense? Underage drinking and driving, and behind in paying the fines.
I miss everything, you guys, my friends, girlfriend, house.
Heartbroken and struggling, his parents, Charles and Susan Edwards, somehow scraped up the cash.
Well, I paid every nickel. He didn't owe a penny.
When I paid him, I thought he was free to go. And the judge told me, "Are you nuts?" And they took him out in shackles.
It's not supposed to be like this in juvenile court. Incarceration is supposed to be the last resort for kids. But Marcia Levick, deputy director of the Juvenile Law Center, noticed a diabolical pattern in Judge Mark Chivarella's courtroom.
I think what we have here in Luzerne County is probably the most egregious abuse of power in the history of the American legal system.
And she had the troubling numbers to back it up.
The numbers of children going into placement in Luzerne County tended to be 2 to 3 times higher than in other counties. We have kids who were being sent to custody for things as minor as a child who shoplifted a $4 bottle of nutmeg, a child who put up a MySpace page taunting her school administrator.
Why was this happening? Levick turned her findings over to the FBI, and the answer to that question would rock Pennsylvania justice.
No comment, thank you.
Judge Chivarella and fellow Judge Michael Conahan had devised a scheme to pad their pockets on the backs of children. First, they shut down the old juvenile detention center by cutting off public funds, choking it out of existence, and then replaced it with a cash cow, a privately owned facility built by the judge's cronies for $58 million taxpayer dollars. The judges cut $2 million in secret kickbacks.
They sold their oath of offices to the highest bidders.
But there is more. The judges were not just corrupt. To keep all those new $300 a day beds filled with children, the the government says Judge Ciavarella did something awful, something unthinkable. Prosecutors say he sold the children into custody. In fact, parents say some of the court workers wrongly convinced them their children did not need lawyers.
They basically said that, you know, I'm just going to get a slap on the wrist, that I shouldn't waste money on a lawyer.
Jamie Quinn was 14 when she was sent to Judge Mark Ciavarella because of an after-school fight.
Did you hurt her badly? Did she have to go to the hospital?
No.
Was she injured?
No. I honestly expected that I was going to get lectured and get probation at the worst. And it was my first time ever in front of a judge. He didn't let me talk. I was literally in front of him for only like 4 minutes. He barely even looked at me. All I remember is my mom grabbed onto my hand and hugged me, and then they put my hands behind my back, handcuffed me, and took me right away.
Matt Klubeck did come to court with an attorney when he faced Judge Ciavarella.
I had my dad's attorney representing me, but the judge told my dad's attorney that he was not able to represent me, so...
So you had an attorney, but he said no.
Right. I didn't get to tell any of my story.
Matt had been charged with assault after throwing a beefsteak during a family argument.
I was very surprised when I was being led out of the room in shackles.
But while the kids were languishing in juvenile jail,
I was literally in front of him for only like 4 minutes.
I never was able to speak.
And they all had 30-second court hearings like me.
And what they describe as to what happened in your courtroom is pretty amazing.
You take a look at their file and you look to see if this was the first time they had a run-in with the law. Might have been the first time they were in front of me. You may be surprised that it's not going to be as clear-cut as they would like you to think.
Are you seeing that to be true?
No.
In fact, Judge Arthur Grimm, a Pennsylvania juvenile judge himself, now assigned to review Judge Ciavarella's cases, has seen just the opposite.
That kids were in there for relatively minor first-time offenses and ended up being placed. The judge is incorrect.
And what of Ciavarella's rapid-fire justice?
Is that the way the juvenile system is supposed to work?
No, it's not the way it's supposed to work. I'm seeing cases which seem to take in the neighborhood of 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes. That simply is not the way to do business. It doesn't happen in 3 minutes.
And what about Ciavarella's claim that his trials were so short because he looked at the intake people's reports first and followed their lead?
The day of the hearing or the day of the admission, it's already determined what's going to happen.
I was branded as something. I was in jail as a freshman in high school, so I never went back to school.
So now at 19, instead of being in college, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Eric is back in school and hoping to get his driver's license.
You're not going to do nothing wrong, are you?
No.
No.
But like Joel, he's had trouble adjusting.
I don't talk to anybody. I don't have many friends because I can't trust a lot of people.
Matt works after school at a restaurant, but dreams of joining the Air Force after college.
That's what I really want to do. I want to be able to fly jets.
It's a hobby that takes him away from the troubled memory of jail at 14.
And that helped a lot because when I'm flying the planes, I'm in control of everything. Nothing else matters.
Still, Matt fears his conviction may keep him out of the Air Force. As for Jamie's dream,
right now I'm still in high school. I graduate this year, and I want to study criminal justice.
And just recently, Jamie picked up her college application.
Thank you so much.
Good luck to you, Jamie. So you're going to study criminal justice in hopes of improving the system?
Yes. I've seen a lot of bad stuff happen. It makes me really question people who we're supposed to trust. I don't want it to ever happen again.
We've seen corruption cases around the country in every state. What's different about this case that concerns you?
It's kids. Yeah. I'm sorry. It really, damn it. It really upsets me because it's on the back of kids. And that's unfair. Kids are malleable, but you know, talk about a bad lesson.
When 2020 returns.